Hey, I hope your Halloween went well, citizens of the Grateful Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the I'm Doing Great podcast, episode number 70. We've made it this far. My name's Mike, or if you want to call me the dad from Inside Out, I am here to give you guys a great podcast, as well as Gina's here as well. Let's talk about some ways to make money for us. Guys, go to I'mDoingMerch.com. You can go to our website. You can see we've got an awesome new shirt here. This is the IDG Arms Incorporated shirt. Listen, it's a play on the old Dragon Arm shirt that I've worn on the show a couple times, but I suggest that you get it. It's really an awesome one. I am wearing this shirt today, currently the Don't Vote long sleeve tee. It's really comfortable. Order it maybe a size up because it is a little on the tight side. When you're wearing this shirt, you will show the general public that they probably should more than likely, very probably not vote. So it gets out a good message. Guys, next we have for you, what do we have? Sonoran Defense. What a great site. What a great company. These guys will stipple your Glocks. You can also buy actual firearms on the site, but our discount doesn't apply to that. Use the code IDG10 for 10% off at checkout. We have, I believe I have the Hybrid Alpha stippling package that I had, the Mod 1 there. Let's look at that. Let's just look at it and see how nice it is. For those of you listening, you can't really see how nice it is. But Gina, look at this. This is the one that you have too, right?
That's sexy.
Yeah. We have the Glock 43. Pictured here is the Glock 43X. But really, it feels so good in your hand. Nice and noticeable. Won't slip. And so go to SonoranDefense.com. Those guys are really great friends of the show. Next up, Nimi Skincare. Hey, they're an unwoke, what do you call it? Skincare company. Modern skincare, timeless values, and they have routines that they have the daily glow up routine, hydrate and protect. They even have a 3-step anti-aging routine that Gina is probably going to check out very soon.
Very excited.
Very excited for Nimi Skincare. The link is down in the description. Go there. Go use our specialized link and get a nice little percentage off. Vanman Collection. I want to say something about the Vanman Collection from Vanman.shop. Guys, look at the positive reviews here. 183 5-star reviews, 413 5-star reviews. The Vanman Bison Tallow and Honey Balm, 19 5-star reviews. I guess it is a little pricey. It's $111 for 2 ounces of balm. But that's because they've got the grass-fed beef bison tallow in this particular balm. But what I'm really excited about is right here, Miracle Tooth Powder. Check out. Do you want to hear what's in this stuff, Gina?
I do.
Let me tell you what's in this stuff, okay? I'm going down the whole page. Doesn't work all that well. Listen, ingredients. Ready for this?
Charcoal.
Eggshell powder.
Clay.
Bentonite clay. It's from aged volcanic ash. Activated coconut charcoal. That sounds really cool. Baking soda and pink Himalayan sea salt. You see any chemicals in that ingredient list?
No.
You see any toxic chemicals? I don't. Guys, go to vanman.shop, buy some stuff.
No fluoride.
No fluoride. You don't want fluoride in your teeth. Okay, let's get off of this. Hi, guys. Welcome. Don't vote.
Don't do it. Tell your friends not to.
So today that we're recording is All Saints Day. Yesterday it was Halloween. And for all you Catholics out there, it is a holy day of obligation. So if you're listening to this earlier on in the day, get to church, most likely a early evening mass. But there's also a really nice prayer that you can say during All Saints Day. You want to hear it?
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, you could throw it up to Adriano if you want. Let me get a little bit closer on it. But it goes, Dear God, thank you for the example of the saints. I desire to join their company, worshiping you forever in heaven. Please help me follow their footsteps and yours, Jesus Christ. Please help me to conform myself to your image, seeking your will in all things, as the saints did. Please help me devote myself and all that I do to your glory and to the service of my neighbors. Amen. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I'm excited to get to that phase where I'm learning more about the saints. I'm right now in the phase of learning about the Reformation and how it differs from Orthodox theology and Catholic theology. And there's even a section in the book I'm reading that's about this, they call it the Catholic Reformation too. So I'm excited to learn about all that. And then after that, I definitely want to take a deep dive into the saints.
The Protestants like to say yesterday, they like to say, Happy Reformation Day. And then we counter back with, oh, you mean Deformation Day. Because you split.
Well,
because you split.
Yeah. And also, I think that's a really hard pill for Protestants to swallow, is that we've been programmed for a long time that there is no such like there isn't one physical church. But the way that Father Josiah Trenum, Orthodox priest, used to be a Protestant pastor, I'm reading his book, listening to a lot of his stuff, and he has a great question. He says, when you hear Jesus talk about the church in the Bible, he always uses tangible examples like the vineyard, a house on a hill. Like he uses things that are real buildings, the real things that you can touch. So he said, why on earth would the Christian church not be something that's real and tangible?
Yeah.
Love that question.
Also, I want you guys to take a look at this. Gina, look at this. This is my rosary.
I saw that on your Instagram.
This is a fantastic rosary that was made by Armor, I believe, Armor of Saints or Armor of Rose. Let me look it up real quick.
Can I hold it, or is it like a totem? I'm not allowed to, like an Inception.
No, you can do that.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
I want to get the Instagram name right because I want to drive people to his Etsy page. Armor of Faith Rosaries. So if you go to armor really faith rosaries, Armor of Faith Rosaries, that's what I got it for. He custom made it for me. And I had it blessed by my priest on Sunday, and I got Rosary blessed as well. Good. And I just finished reading Taylor Marshall's The Rosary in 50 pages. Very interesting history about the Rosary. Him. And I think the Rosary is going to be a very interesting topic at the panel. Because I believe the Catholics and the Orthodox will have a lot of agreement in praying the Rosary, and I'm very interested to hear Dr. Easley's
his take on it. Me too.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I was reading about recently after we were talking about how All Hallows Day, All Saints Day is from the Catholic tradition, from Christianity. Do you know where actually like the Halloween traditions come from?
Halloween?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people like to say that they're Celtic in origin, but I read a very interesting article debunking all of that.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been reading a lot of stuff about how it's from a Celtic festival called Samhain.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and so all of the things down to like dressing up in costumes, handing out candy, which of course back then wasn't candy. It was like just like fruit and corn and stuff. The jack-o'-lanterns, like carving the faces into the pumpkins and things like that, were all directly from Samhain.
So listen to this.
Which is interesting.
Adriana, throw this page up. This is a resource that I was sent by a friend when I was talking about, hey, does Halloween come from paganism, or at least the traditions that we practice today come from paganism? So this is from a page called Via Logos Agape. Is Halloween Pagan? Part 1. Now, this is a really dense reading. It's broken up into 2 parts, but it starts off, I love this time of year in large part because of the cooler weather and the beautiful changes happening in nature, but also because the reality of death is more manifest than ever. So I think All Saints Day and in the Catholic Church is a reflection upon, memento mori, knowing that you're going to die and honoring those that have died and that are in heaven. As the leaves change color and fall to the ground, we're reminded that everything living one day will die, which make it the perfect time of year to practice memento mori, meditating on the reality of death, and also to memorialize those who have died already. Yet something I don't particularly appreciate about the Halloween season is the fact that so many people spread myths and misconceptions about its origins. Much like Easter and Christmas, it is often claimed that Halloween has, quote, pagan roots. And many Christians are against celebrating Halloween because they think it has connections to paganism or Satanism or black magic. In reality, this couldn't be further from the truth, so I'd like to set the record straight on the history of Halloween. Because I ended up finding so much information on this topic, I'm dividing the discussion into 2 parts. Here in part 1, I'll focus on debunking one of the most common myths about Halloween origin. Then in part 2, I'll share the true history of this holiday and the modern customs associated with it. I'm sure you'll learn quite a lot, as I did while doing the research, and I hope you find the topic as interesting as I have. And then it starts off with Samhain. And that's where he gets to and then I won't do this whole thing, but I'll read the first paragraph. Possibly the most common lie that's spread about Halloween is that it developed out of an alleged Celtic pagan festival known as Samhain, and sometimes called Samhain or Samhain, but misconceptions abound regarding the nature of origin of Samhain, to the point where virtually everything that people totally believe about it is a complete fabrication.
So wait, is he saying Samhain didn't exist?
No, he's saying it did, but he's saying the church's tradition of either Halloween, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day doesn't stem from it. The two are completely different.
That's so funny, because I was just reading 2 Catholic priests writing about how Halloween, the traditions that we have today did come from Samhain, but All Saints Day is obviously, All Saints Day obviously came first, but the Celtic festival, Samhain, came after All Saints Day, but it's separate, and that's where we get all of our Halloween traditions from.
This debunks that apparently. So if you guys want, it'll be in the description of the video. You can read it. Like I said, I mean, it's pretty dense. It's a lot of reading to do.
So
I've read maybe a quarter.
So he's saying that Samhain exists, but none of our...
Right. There was... Okay, so hold on. Maybe we can do... The only historical sources we have that mention Samhain are medieval Irish Christian folk stories. This is because the Irish have no written records prior to the beginning of their Christianization in the 4th or 5th century, which is a significant point because it means that nothing can be said with any real confidence about the possible ancient pagan beliefs and practices of the Celtic people. Therefore, we should think of these medieval folk stories as similar to our modern genre of historical fantasy. Many centuries after the Christianization of Ireland, writers were simply imagining what the ancient Celtic culture may have been like and often taking plenty of artistic liberty in their portrayals. Their ideas were likely influenced by various sources ranging from classical literature, such as Virgil's Aeneid, to the Bible itself, to Norse paganism, which Irish authors came into contact with through Viking raiding and settlement in Ireland. The point, though, is that these stories are not reliable accounts of history, and we in fact have no such account from ancient Ireland because, as I said, they kept no such records. And then it goes, but look, just look at how dense this part one is.
So where did all of the traditions come from?
I'm still reading. I don't know.
I wonder if he knows.
He probably does. He goes in. You saw how dense it was, right? Like that's just part one, where they go from the historical origins of it, and then part two is
what's the name
modern
again?
Day practice.
What's his name?
It's it says written by Jacob. This was written last year via Logos Agape. Or Agape.
Is this like a Wikipedia, or is this guy for real?
No, Villa Logos. Let's see. I mean, he probably writes about a bunch of different things, writing about purgatory, mortal sin, venial sin, philosophy of abortion. Is Easter pagan? In brief, does Genesis say that God's created the world? Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. Let's see. My name is Jacob. What I'm trying to do with this blog is what St. Vincent describes in the above quote, saying things in a new way, though not saying new things. And St. Vincent said, teach what you have learned, but while saying things in a new way, do not say new things. So I guess he's just a strict Catholic. And maybe he has some historical, archival, some sort of background where he goes in deep about such topics.
So Samhain was real, or it wasn't?
Yeah. Yeah, it had to have been. It seemed like an ancient practice.
So Samhain was real, so they didn't do the costumes and things like that. That's what I guess so. I guess that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I guess that it was real, but I guess the debunking is where it has connections to that. Where Halloween, All Saints Day, All Hallows Eve has connections to Samhain.
Because what I was reading is that Samhain is not at all connected to All Saints Day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was a Celtic pagan festival.
Well, I think All Hallows Eve and All Saints Day, or at least honoring saints, pre-existed Samhain.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's what I was saying before.
Like
is that
modern,
All Saints Day came first.
Right.
Yeah. And then Samhain was like, I think it was like I can't remember if it was 40 or 400 AD.
Yeah, because you hear a lot of Protestants say, we're not going to celebrate Halloween. That's the devil. That's Satanism or whatever. Yeah. And it's just like, well, maybe the original practice wasn't, but this pagan practice of Samhain.
Well, I mean, I get what they're saying in terms of like, the parts of Halloween that's like summoning the dead and like
that's anti-Christian,
all of that all of that stuff. So I get why I get why a lot of parents don't want their kids involved in that, because it's like the kids will go off and do like seances and things that are very clearly anti-Christian.
Is very, when you get into like deep Catholicism, the fascination and not obsession, but the glorification of death with skeletons and with skulls and stuff is really, really metal and really dark. I saw a bunch of memes who will actually have our friend Brian, who runs the Instagram page Catholicism. He's got like 50,000 followers. But he was posting some skeletons, and one of the commenters like, my dream is to convert as many goth girls as I can because they have so much in common. They just don't know it yet. But that's that.
Yeah, well, I actually think a lot of the world in general was much darker.
Oh yeah,
much more metal, like than we are now.
Have you ever seen the movie The Adjustment Bureau?
Yes,
I got it recommended from a buddy. He said, "Watch this movie. I think you'll like it." If you haven't seen it,
Matt Damon and
Emily Blunt.
Yeah, she was a dancer.
Yes, a ballet dancer, not a chubby one,
not an obese.
Oh well, apparently she had a body double. in the movie. They
very
just put her
clearly
face
did.
on it.
Yeah.
I thought it was her.
Really?
Yeah, but then Carly looked it up and she said, "No, it's a body double."
definitely not.
Drat.
I could tell by the way that Emily Blunt walks, that wasn't her dancing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, dancers can usually tell, I guess. But the movie is really all about, do we have free will and do you believe in fate? And the idea is that this consortium called the Adjustment Bureau, they can, be called angels, if you will, but they are involved in your life, making sure that you stick to a plan.
Right.
It's a very, very interesting movie. I liked it a lot.
It was, what year was that? That was a while ago now, but I remember seeing it when it first came out.
2009 or 10 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Emily Blunt.
I like Emily Blunt too.
I think she's fantastic.
I really do. Fantastic is great.
She's a really good actress. She's one of those actresses that doesn't get as much praise as she deserves.
You and I have had a tiff over the weekend about an actress. So Gina texted me and she said,
"No, we didn't.
You should watch."
I said Jessica Chastain's really good.
Really
and then
good.
You had a meltdown in my inbox.
So what happened was, Gina said, "Watch this movie called The Good Nurse. We should talk about it." And I looked it up and I was like, "Oh, Jessica Chastain's, oh God." And Gina had thought that I had, because we talked about Jessica Chastain on the show. She's a big lib or whatever. And you're like, "Mike, get past it. She's a big lib. So what?" I was like, "No, it has nothing to do with that." So I explained to Gina, there's this movie called Memoirs of a Breakup or something like that. Do you remember what I...
No, it was a short series on HBO,
What was it
called Scenes from a Marriage.
Scenes from a Marriage.
And it was a remake of
a play.
Of a
right?
play, that was made into a film.
Right. So Jessica Chastain's character, I hate it so much that it's like that period of like, if you've ever had a bad dream where a spouse or a boyfriend cheats on you in the dream and you wake up angry, and it takes you like half a day to get over it. That's how I felt with Jessica Chastain. I was like, I really don't want to watch anything with her for a little bit, even though I like her. I like her as an actress.
Yeah, I think she's a really good. I think she's also one of the better actresses today.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
She was really good. I thought she was amazing in Tree of Life. I mean, whatever you think about that movie.
I love Tree of Life.
I thought she was incredible in that. I think she is one of those actresses that is truly mesmerizing on camera.
Tree of Life had a profound impact on me.
Yeah, that stayed with me for a long time.
Yeah, and the movie's really, really good. It's based on a true story about this nurse who could probably be considered one of the biggest serial killers of all time. Ended up killing, they think, around 400 people.
He is, yeah.
And what he did was he would fill IV bags with saline or insulin.
He would inject insulin into
the IV bags, and other nurses, not knowing, would then hook up their patients to these IV bags and they would die. And it was just an interesting movie. And if you want to go deeper about the healthcare system and about how hospitals will cover themselves to release themselves from liabilities and not take any responsibility, because a lot of these hospitals were suspect of something. There was something wrong with this guy, something surrounding,
I think they all
patients' deaths. Yeah, they did. So they just fired him instead of trying to press charges against him.
Can you imagine what would happen to your hospital if you pressed charges against one of your nurses that was murdering people?
Oh, right. Yeah. They'd be probably liable for wrongful death suits, and they would probably be
Eddie Redmayne was really good, but he's really good in everything. He's good. Such a good creep.
He is a really good creep. It's his mouth. He's got like these weirdly, oddly big lips.
Even the way that he walks is like a total creep.
He was the first time I ever saw him was in this movie called The Good Shepherd. Did you see that movie?
Mm-mm.
It's about the early formation of the CIA with another Matt Damon movie.
I don't think I've even heard of it.
Robert De Niro either Robert De Niro or George Clooney directed it, but it was really, really interesting. And Eddie Redmayne plays Matt Damon's son. And he was an annoying little shit in it.
Okay.
So
this is a while ago? Was he younger?
That movie came out in like 2012, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Angelina Jolie. One of like Angelina Jolie's like last big mainstream movies.
Really?
Yeah.
I will always be an Angelina Jolie stan. I don't care what anyone has to say.
Yeah, she's a little weird.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her and her 10 kids from all over the world.
She's got a trans kid now, right?
No, that was a huge lie perpetuated.
Oh, not anymore?
Huge. And the reason
perpetuated by who?
By the media.
Really?
No, Shiloh was never trans. That was like, they picked up and they ran with that. And the reason that I know that is because, I guess I can say it. So I met John Voight when I was working with Candace, and we had dinner, and I always heard about, like, he would always say to people in his life that it's not true.
Yeah.
And the media loves to just jump on any sort of like family rift in the celebrity world.
Sure.
But what I think Angelina Jolie did say, because I pulled some quotes for something that I wrote something for Evie Magazine about how the world thinks that Shiloh was trans, but when she showed up to all of the red carpet events in a dress and stuff and looking very much like a girl, then the media like dropped the whole thing and they were like, you know, because they were upset that they didn't have a trans token anymore.
Gotcha.
But, and then I went back and I was pulling all the quotes, and what Angelina Jolie said about her daughter was that she liked to wear men's clothing. When she was like a kid, she was like experimenting.
Tomboys.
Yeah, and because she had two much older brothers, Pax and Maddox, whatever the adopted boys, and they were quite a few years older than her. And Angelina said that she always wanted to be like her brothers. So she was like experimenting with like boys' clothes. And Angelina's comments were like, I'm not going to stifle my daughter's imagination.
Right.
Or creativity.
Which you shouldn't.
She's 10. Right. And like, I get that. Like if my daughter at 10 years old wants to like put on some like boys' clothes and like mess around the house, like there's nothing wrong with that. Now, yes, it's wrong to say that she's suddenly a boy.
Right, correct.
But that's not what Angelina Jolie was doing. She and Brad Pitt were just fostering an environment of creativity and imagination.
Yeah, kids being kids.
And then the media just took that and they ran with it. And they
she's
said,
trans.
She's trans.
What a hero.
Yeah, and like she, wants to be called a boy. But Angelina also said in an interview that Shiloh did want to be called a boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I don't think...
Did she shut that down?
I don't know, because she wasn't clear about that. But from what I heard through the grapevine, that was never entertained.
Gotcha.
So that was picked up and it was run with.
Oh, of course they do that.
I don't think Angelina is like one of those celebrities.
Right.
I hope I'm right.
Let's talk about another. Let's do a new rule. Kind of, we can pull it off of Bill Maher's routine that he does. Let's do a new rule. IDG new rule. Let's not use the word trailblazer ever.
Oh my gosh! Or can we talk about empowering too? Go with Trailblazer.
Well, first. Trailblazer. I was on Instagram the other day, and I saw a post of someone who went to go see Melissa Etheridge play a live concert, and underneath she wrote, "What a trailblazer," and I said, "Did Melissa Etheridge perform the first open heart surgery?" No, she's a singer-songwriter who just happens to be a lesbian. Trailblazing what? Like singing and songwriting? No. You'd have to go back to, I don't know, the beginning of time. Is she the first person to ever write a song and then sing it? What is she trailblazing? What, because she likes women, she's some sort of trailblazing hero now? Oh my God.
I know.
It's the way that people use these words now. What a trailblazer. Did she traverse the Appalachian Trail by herself for the first time in history? Like, no, she didn't. She writes songs. Some of them are pretty cool.
And she likes women.
Big
definitely
deal.
Not a trailblazing quality.
No, definitely not. I don't think so. She's not the first. If she was the first lesbian in history.
Was it a real friend of yours, like a real life friend?
No,
a friend
it was a friend of a friend.
Okay.
It was a friend of a friend.
Did you comment?
No.
Okay.
No. If it was a friend, I would have been like, come on now.
Come on.
Yeah, I would have given them a little shit for it.
Yeah, no, the whole bank of terms like trailblazer, brave,
hero,
empowering, like
stunning and brave.
It all needs to be locked up and thrown away because there are very few people today that are brave. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. It's not a brave thing to be fat. That's actually the easiest thing that you can do is to be fat. Yeah. It requires very little to no work. Very little to no self-discipline, very little to no delayed gratification. I mean, if you think about the lifestyle of someone who's like obese, what do they have to do to get there?
Can we talk about the polar opposite of obese?
They had to eat a lot and they had to sit.
Adriano, don't go to my screen just yet. I got to find this. Carly sent it to, Adriano, go ahead. Go to my screen. You got to see this. So this is what we eat in a day as high-powered raw vegans.
Oh, I love these.
Have
these
you
are so
seen
great.
these?
These are so great.
The comments are insane. We got to go through the comments. He gonna die. People will do anything but eat a balanced diet. Someone was like, I know being vegan can be healthy, but with an emphasis on can, it can only be if it's done right. I do not think this is done right. Sugar-free where? Someone else, oh God, I really want to see an argument between him and the Liver King. Someone else was like, dude, it's all sugar. So it's just basically all sugar.
Imagine the insulin production in his body.
Oh my God.
Wait, that's a man?
Yes, that's a man. Mango hunting, did they give you trouble? Hunting mangoes. This is like someone's like, I'm hungry looking at this.
These people are not okay.
These people are not okay. They're physically not okay.
Like, look what he's eating.
Okay, that's enough, Adriana. We don't have to put
pumpkin miso soup with what? That sounds awful.
I said to Carly,
he looks emaciated.
Carly was never really a raw vegan, but I said, babe, a year ago you were vegan and now you're making a meatloaf.
Yeah.
And she's like, I couldn't see it any other way.
Yeah.
It's like people, like, why are you not having an animal-rich protein diet?
Yeah, at this point, especially with all the information that's out there, I can almost understand, like, can you look up when Forks Over Knives came out? That was a really popular documentary, maybe in 04, 05?
2011.
2011. Okay,
Yeah.
I was behind. Back then, in like the late 2000s, early 2010s, the vegan plant-based diet was becoming much more popular, and there was very little information to counter it at that time. Mm-hmm. It was a huge trend because it was being pushed.
Yeah.
And at that time, I can almost understand people being vegan because it was like the only information you had was like documentaries like Forks Over Knives and the China study, which has been debunked already. Oh. But the China study was a really big one. So like back then, you get a little bit more grace if you were a vegan back then. But today, when you have access to people like Carnivore MD or like the Liver King or almost anybody else online, like it's very difficult to understand why anyone could still be, especially raw vegan.
Yeah,
like
Carly said he's skinny fat.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like
fat.
he's just like flabby, which is not good.
Let's talk about Korea.
Oh my gosh. Have you been looking into it more? Because I almost couldn't bring myself to look into it any more than I did.
Yeah, it's tough. I did look at pictures and video.
Yeah, I just saw some videos.
So what I wanted to know.
Do you want to set it up for people first? I mean, I'm sure.
Well, I really don't even know the scene just based of what I know because I saw Kangman post a lot about it. So I believe it was a holiday celebration in Seoul. For whatever reason, I don't know if it was out in the open air and people were on the streets and partying, and maybe a group of people got sidelined into an alleyway, I guess, trying to divert traffic. I don't know what it is. Maybe I should look it up.
There were just a lot of people in Itaewon, and it was a Halloween celebration, whatever. And there's just people in an alleyway that got totally trapped because there were tens of thousands of people in the area.
Okay.
And it was total gridlock. They got jammed. And I think when people were trying to get out, all of the movement, it just kept crushing people.
Okay, on Saturday night, tens of thousands of people flooded into the streets of Itaewon neighborhood in Seoul to celebrate Halloween. But as the night went on, panic erupted as the crowd swelled. What exactly caused the crush still isn't clear, but witnesses say partygoers had been packed tightly in the district's narrow streets and it was difficult to move around. Wow, as of Sunday afternoon, 151 people have been killed, making it one of the country's worst. So people were still in the street partying and oblivious to what happened. Groups of people were crying.
Yeah.
Human crush couldn't have been solved in advance, says the Minister of Interior. So what I keep on hearing about this alleyway.
Yeah.
And so I guess I asked, I said, how did this happen? Can someone tell me how this happened? And this was a user, I mean, you don't have to put it on the screen, Adrian. I don't want to out him, but he says, it's sort of like the idea if Superman patted someone on the back, but not realizing his own force killed him in the process. Say you have a row of people, 100 people deep. The first person bumps into the second person and moves them just a little. Second person does the same to number 3. By the time you get to the 100th person, you reach a wall that can't be moved at all. So you've got the mass of 99 people that one person has to try and move back to get more space. So if you have like 99 people crowded on top of you, it's very difficult to move those people. When I was working for Justin and just any artist that I was with, especially for the harder audiences, especially the rock shows and the post-punk and the hardcore shows, when people get pressed to the front, you would see it when it was standing room only, especially at festivals that this happens. Look at the Travis Scott thing. But there were people that would have to be removed by crew at the front row because they would constantly get pressed by people from the back. So, that's how you suffocate. You actually get suffocated. Also, a lot of people pointed to the bad quality of the air. A lot of people wearing masks, and they were saying that also sped up the rate of suffocation in people. But I asked him, I was like, that makes sense, but what about the exit and entrance? Was there only one way in or one way out to these places? And he says, more often than not, you can't escape because the people in the back that need to leave first have no clue what's happening at the end. From what I've read, the main casualties occurred when a group of people got herded into an alleyway. And I said, that's what I'm curious about, the alleyway.
The alleyway, from what I remember seeing in the videos, it was almost like an L-shaped.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so I'm like, why couldn't people at the end leave, or people, if there was...
They probably didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably just people in the corner were trying to tell them, and the message just didn't get down to the end.
He told me about a documentary on ESPN about a Premier League match that happened in the mid 80s, I want to say, or the late 80s, about people that were in like a football arena tunnel that got trampled and suffocated as well. And it's just tough, man. I feel for those people that are there, because I pray for a quiet and quick death, but that's not it. That's not it. That's a horrible way to die. I couldn't see that, just screaming for help and just being trampled, and
there's literally no way out. I mean, you can't even.
I don't know. I told you, I thought about it. Like, what if I'm there with my family? What do I do?
I know.
This is why, guys, as you get older, you realize you don't need to be around large groups of people at night, in the evening. You don't need to be at bars after 10 o'clock.
We attempted to go downtown. So over the weekend, it was my husband's birthday, and we went to
stay. Happy birthday, Adriano. Put happy birthday in the comments, Adriano.
Yeah. We neither of us tell people when our birthdays are, because we hate that.
Same.
So we went to one of my favorite hotels. One Hotel. You ever been to that chain?
I've never been, but I know it. Yeah.
I stayed in there, and I stayed in their LA location a couple times, and I was like, oh, they have one in Nashville. So we went there for the night, and then as you know, it's like 10 minutes from Broadway. So we went down there and attempted to.
Did you go anywhere?
No, we went to Broadway, and then we looked at each other. We were like, no.
It's going to happen. No. It's nicer on like Wednesday nights or Thursday nights.
Right.
If you can, and you can even do it in the early afternoon before, the sun goes down and crowds start to. The one place that I always recommend to go is Robert's Western World. It's one of the oldest honky-tonks that are there. And you get this really great food and beverage package called the Recession Special, where you get a fried bologna sandwich, a bag of potato chips, a beer, and a moon pie for $6 or $7.
So that's the experience.
Fried bologna sandwich is fantastic, by the way. I believe it. It's awesome.
I believe it.
Yeah. So Robert's Western World, if you are in Nashville, listen, Broadway sucks. That's where Adriano and I are going to resurrect the IDG on the Street, which we're going to film this week. We're going to film a new one. And that's where that's because where everybody is. It's Nashville is not a walking city. It's walkable on Broadway only, and that half a mile radius that surrounds it. But other than that,
I got to tell you about this pizza experience. You can't even call it pizza. My husband.
Wait, where did you go?
My husband and I got to tell the story. So we felt like pizza. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know why we felt like pizza, because we've talked about this before. Every time you eat pizza in Nashville, it's just a massive disappointment.
It's underwhelming.
It's so underwhelming. But it's one of those things, like when you crave pizza, you just crave pizza and you have to have it. So the pizza place that we were planning to try was closed on Saturdays because they had private parties.
Was that the one that Candace went to? It starts with a D?
No. I think this one was called Manny's.
Okay.
So we were like, all right, it's closed. We really want pizza. So we looked around, and we were just looking at the reviews, which is like, we regret it now. It was a mistake to even look at the reviews. There's this place that had 4.7 out of 5 stars. It's called Slim and Huskies. Mm-hmm. And it was like, apparently like one of the best pizza places in the downtown area. We were like, okay, let's go. But then as like on the way there, I'm looking at it and it said black owned.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, whatever, we'll just go. I hate it when they say that. It's like just as stupid if someone puts like white owned.
Yeah.
Like, great. I don't care.
Women owned.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that. Women owned. Like I used to always send pictures of when you like go to like the health food shops, they have like the specialty ice cream sandwiches. Women owned. I send my friend, I'm like, great. I'm really glad that a woman made my ice cream. Like that matters to me.
Brave. Trailblazer.
Stunning. Hero. So we were like, okay, let's go. And so you walk in and it's like one of those... It's like so obviously black owned, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But like, I honestly have a question. It's like, have you ever walked into a place that like they have pictures of white people everywhere and it's like white people, or like even an
like
Asian place?
Actual like pizzerias. Like if you go into like traditional pizzerias in New York or any Italian restaurants, they got all like the Italian celebrities like up on the wall and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's more like just celebrities.
Yeah.
And you'll just like have famous people. Just like, it's like just all black art, which is like fine, whatever.
Okay.
Then you walk in and it's like one of those like assembly lines where they make the pizza for you.
What?
Yeah. And so we're like, okay, we're looking over and I immediately had the thought, I'm like, this isn't pizza, this is flatbread, which is fine. Okay, fine. We should have walked out at that point. And This is honestly like one of the funniest things that's ever happened to us. And so you walk up to the plate to the place to order, and you're like, "Could I have a 16-inch whatever?" And the guy just like takes it and it's like pulling apart the dough and like starting to make the pizza or whatever. And then he looks up, he's like, "What do you want?" We're like, "Wait, what?" We're like confused about what he's asking. We're like, "What do you mean?" He like didn't hear what we wanted. So he's like asking what we wanted again. It's just like every single person there was so rude. And then the pizza comes out and it was the worst food I have ever tasted in my life. I mean, we had to throw it away.
Really?
I am like very staunchly like, I'm usually against throwing food away. I'm like, we can repurpose it.
Sure.
We can give it to somebody who needs to eat. But I looked at my husband and I'm like, I can't eat this. Like my pizza it was supposed to be, so every pizza is named after some hip hop song.
Okay.
So mine was called Red Light Special. His was called Preem.
Okay.
So mine was supposed to be like a take on the margarita pizza.
Oh no, was Red Light Special TLC?
Honey, you know, you said it
TLC,
before.
right? I'll
Light
give
Special.
you the red light. Okay, yeah, it's TLC.
He knows all the music I know. So it was like just tomato sauce that tasted like it was straight from a 50-cent can. It was like the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life. And they put 4 little pieces of
Let me look this place up.
mozzarella cheese. When you look at it, it's like, oh my gosh, these reviews are amazing. So we were like, let's give it a shot. And then they like just threw little tomatoes on the top of it. Halved tomatoes
They have a
on top
lot
of
of followers on Instagram.
So many. And I'm like, we were so... Yeah.
No, I mean, if you want to show the pictures, you can show them.
You might as well. I mean, it's fine. You can show it. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's hyped up so much online that we were like, okay, let's give it a shot. And it was by far.
That's not pizza though, guys.
It was by far the worst food we have ever tasted in our entire life.
Will we get dragged for this? Worse than our abortion is worse than slavery?
I don't know. Probably. But it's one of those things, it's just like.
It just wasn't good. You said it wasn't good.
And it was everything.
It was flatbread. It wasn't pizza.
It was everything. It was down to the service was like abysmal. I mean, these people are miserable. You're like, they're mad that you're annoying them at their place of work.
Yeah.
And they're famous for their cinnamon rolls.
How are the cinnamon rolls?
I don't even think you could call it a cinnamon roll. It was just like stale bread.
Oh no.
With some like cheap icing and literally a scoop of brown sugar on top of it.
I mean, I don't know if those places are sustainable. I don't know if it's a fad and then it'll eventually people will be like, the food's not good.
I don't know. Oh my gosh. And then you walk up to the cashier, Slimmer Husky. What? Sorry. I'm like, sorry, what? Slimmer Husky. I'm sorry. I'm like, what? Slimmer Husky.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so in my head, I'm trying to, okay, so we're at Slim and Husky's. I thought she was asking, did you get Slim and Husky? So I said, yes.
You're an idiot for not knowing.
I had no idea what she was asking.
Yeah.
And then it occurred to me that you order one of 2 sizes, either the 12-inch or the 16-inch.
Yeah.
The 12-inch is called Slim.
Yeah.
The 16-inch is called Husky. And I was like, oh, so I had to figure that out for myself while she's screaming Slimmer Husky at me.
Yeah.
And then we finally got the cinnamon roll, and it was just, we had to throw all of it away.
Yeah.
It was so
awful.
awful.
I think the main problem is that do they call it pizza?
Yes.
That's the problem, guys. Listen, I hate to be a racist, but there are times when it's appropriate. If you're going to have pizza, make it your priority to get pizza from an Italian. And if there's Mexicans making the pizza, it's most likely going to be really good.
That's what I told my husband.
It's especially better if they all just happen to be Italian. But
I will also say in California, some of the best pizza places were done by Asians. So it's really doesn't only have to be Italian.
Pizza is just like this. It's now a very broad term because there's when I think of pizza, I think of traditional New York pizza by the slice. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like tomato cheese. That's all I need. That's all I want. Even when people are like, oh, I put a little bit of pecorino cheese or a little bit of Parmesan cheese in the mix. No. Tomato sauce, mozzarella. That's it. That's
pizza.
all you need. Right. But there are a lot of specialty places now that take it a bit further and they go like Nepalese and they do the Naples style pizza, which is like the original pizza, the OG pizza. And there are people that I think it was a Chef's Table, there's this guy in Arizona that they say is the best pizza in the world, which I'm like, ooh, he does like old Nepalese coal fire or wood fire. That stuff is fantastic. This Slim and Husky stuff doesn't sound like pizza. I wouldn't give it the time of day.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is like, even if it were called flatbread, Like it's not edible.
It just wasn't good, you said.
It's not edible. Again, if it were like pizza that's actually flatbread that tasted good, I'm fine. Like I'm not insulted by the fact that you call it a pizza. I'm insulted by the fact that you call it food.
Do you think that other people don't have as discerning of taste buds that you do?
It's funny you asked that because we were in Publix yesterday and my husband stopped by. We were walking down the frozen food aisle.
I love Publix.
And he pointed to some of the frozen TV dinners.
Yeah.
And he said, the only people who will give that place 5 stars eat this for dinner.
Eat this stuff for dinner.
And he's right.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah.
He's right.
It's people that don't know any better.
No, they don't know anything about food.
And it sucks because,
a lot of Tennessee.
Listen, when you grow up on the East Coast, or if you go to college on the East Coast, if you work on any of the coasts, especially like LA, San Francisco, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, you get spoiled as far as food goes.
Gosh, the best
we do.
food.
We really do. Because that's where all the quote unquote diversity of people who make the cuisine are all I mean, San Francisco, if you want the best Chinese food you'll ever have, it's where all the illegals are.
Go where the illegals are.
So when you grow up in New York, Long Island, the tri-state area, even parts of New Jersey, you get spoiled as far as bagels go, as far as pizza goes. And really, if you're in the city, a lot of things. If you're in LA, sushi, some of the best sushi that you ever had is in LA. Outside of Japan, of course. If you go to San Francisco, the Asian food there is fantastic. Chinese food is incredible. And New York, again, you have the Italian stuff. Once you get kind of inward into the country, and this is changing a lot now because you see chefs who are moving out of these big cities, especially from COVID now, they're finding places where they know that they won't get shut down. So these chefs are starting to open up a lot of restaurants in places like North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Midwest. But for the most part, this is a relatively new thing. You know, someone's idea of Italian cuisine is, and this isn't elitist or anything to say, but it's just what's available, is Olive Garden. And there's nothing wrong with that. They don't have access. Not that they don't have access. That's a very lib thing to say. They don't have access.
But they don't.
It's not available.
Yeah, it's just not available.
It's not available. So, you know, when you have someone who doesn't know any better that goes to Slim and Husky's and say, oh, this is pretty good pizza. They just don't know.
They don't know.
And it's not snobby or it's not elitist or it's not, you know, however you want to classify it, to say to someone, this really isn't pizza, my guy. If you want pizza, I'll show you some good pizza. In Nashville, though, it's lacking. Though hopefully Roberta's opens a brick and mortar.
The whole South needs some help.
It wasn't really edible. Like my sausage was.
He says his sausage was old and smelly.
Yeah. Did you take one bite and say nope?
We literally did.
I tried to take 2 bites.
He tried to take 2 bites. Usually when you're eating something and after the first bite you sense something wrong, don't continue to eat it.
I don't think we have, because I took 1 bite of mine and then I was done. I don't think we have ever thrown food away, have we, honey? Have we ever been to a place and thrown food away? Never, ever. Never thrown food away. But that
Florida,
was like,
Miami with the Cubans, some of the best Cuban food you'll have outside of Cuba.
it really is the coastal thing.
Yeah.
And I forgot who it was, but it was some lib blue check mark on Twitter who said, how can anybody eat at Olive Garden? I just don't get it.
They just don't. They don't have it any better.
And then a lot of people responded and they were like, yeah, you ask this because you're almost like born and raised in New York City.
Right, exactly.
Like you've spent your entire life in New York City. When you're somewhere like Alabama and you need to take your 6 kids out to dinner,
right?
Olive Garden, TGI Fridays, like those are the very easy places to go.
Fridays, we used to go there every Friday. TGI Fridays was awesome.
We never had a TGI Fridays when I was growing up.
Well, the thing is on that too, is like I said, you're very spoiled, but just New York especially. And growing up there, I have a very different opinion and outlook on New York because I couldn't stand living there. And I know people who'd move there and live there. I love Manhattan. I love the city. You know, everyone should live here. I said, no. I think it's worth it to live there for a year or two. Kind of, you know, get the culture, get the art, the food especially. But living in New York is a scam. I used to say this to friends who moved there to work there and to live there. I was like, it's a scam here, dude. You're paying $3,000 a month for an 800 square foot studio apartment. You're getting got. But it's the culture. Yeah, the dude who pushes people in front of the subway could be on your subway. The subways are awful. They're disgusting. You know, the city government is corrupt. But I mean, the romanticism in New York fades away after a couple of years. At least that's how I always felt. That's why growing up on Long Island, it was great. You just go to the city on the weekend if you wanted to.
Yeah, enjoy it.
You know, 40-minute train ride and that's it. But New York is great for the food. Where I used to work for Ralph Lauren down in Soho, like in a 4 block radius, we can go get awesome Jamaican food. We can get awesome Italian food.
best
We can go to the
empanadas
pizza. Not even that. Like the empanadas from the freaking stand outside of the, you get some freaking halal. You get halal guys from the halal cart. And it's fantastic.
It's
red
the
sauce, no red sauce. White sauce, no red sauce. And it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
You don't get that here. Like Austin, Nashville, it's starting to grow a little bit more. Like that food culture is starting to grow. But
yeah, but when people say that, like I go to the places that they say that, oh, it's growing, go to this place. I'm like, it still tastes like shit.
Really?
Yeah. Like even some places in Austin, people were like, it's really good pizza here.
Listen.
And I'm like, what?
If you listen, there are people,
guys okay?
There are people coming to our panel. What's great about the panel is it's going to be from 2 to 5. So it's going to be good if you want to grab lunch before, do so. And then you'll have the perfect time to go out and get dinner, make a reservation if you want for dinner. DM me, ask me, put in the YouTube comments, because I read all of them, literally. Where can I go to get dinner? I like this, or this. And I'll let you know. I have no problem giving people information about restaurants.
We
Because
should go back to Red-Headed Stranger, honey. It's been a while.
Red-Headed Stranger is great. Listen, I'm going to go to the Continental for our anniversary because they have... The Continental is one of Sean Brock's restaurants, and he's a guy that was on Chef's Table on Netflix. He was in an episode of Gotta Feed Phil when Phil came to Nashville. They went to his place called Joyland, which is a fast food place for burgers and chicken sandwiches and stuff like that, which they have one of the best chicken sandwiches that I've ever had, is at this place, Joyland. But his other restaurant, it's more fine dining. It's actually where we went with Jonathan Isaacs when we did his stuff for Daily Wire stuff. But the Continental, which is in the Hyatt Hotel. But every day, they open at 5 o'clock. Every day, they make either 15 or 20 of their hamburgers, but you can only get them at the bar. So if you sit down at a table for formal dining, you can't get the burger. So what Carly and I are going to do is, at 5 o'clock, we're going to get there. It's going to open. We're going to go right to the bar, and they make 15 hamburgers, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
The hamburgers are so good, though. They actually use a sesame seed bun. The burger is so tender and juicy, so good. And the fries that they have, they're like waffle fries, but they're a little bit more airy. They're like less dense, kind of almost like air fried potato chips almost. Really, really good with an awesome horseradish sauce.
Why doesn't anyone make French fries in tallow anymore?
I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe we will. Charlie Bean or Charlie Ben, who knows? What's in your range bag, Mike? I assume you're talking about my gun range bag, and that's just ear protection, ammo, and eye protection, more ammo. Oh, I've got a toolkit in there just in case I need to do anything to the guns, take some screws off or anything like that. I have a gun screw kit that's in there, very useful. Yeah, that's it. 84. No question, but no more Steins, please. Okay, we've had like 2 Jews on.
We've had literally 2 Jews.
And they're somewhat based. Somewhat.
And
well, one's not even
one
Jewish.
Of them
like
is not
Alex
even,
Feinberg's not. He's like
no, he's not the second Jew.
Alex Feinberg and then Mark
But Alex isn't a Jew.
The other Alex Epstein.
Oh, then we've had 3 Jews on because you're forgetting our very first Jew.
Right. 85.
Wait, you don't know who our first Jew is then?
No, maybe Epstein.
No,
maybe
but I'm saying before that. You don't know who our first Jew is?
Who? Oh, Josh LaCash.
Josh. So it's Josh, Alex, and Mark.
Yeah,
but Alex Feinberg is not Jewish.
Just in name. His name would be.
Dad
his dad is.
But he's like, by Jewish definition, he's not Jewish.
85. This is a weird request that you make because it's our show and we'll have whoever the hell we want on. So start your own show and bar Jews from it if you want. Iblin Vow. Or Iblin, whatever. Including your parents, who shaped and influenced you to become what you are today?
Who?
Yeah. Who shaped or influenced you? Who shaped and influenced you? I would just go with my parents.
Yeah.
Not too many friends had an impact necessarily on the type of person I became. I think that was mostly my parents doing.
Yeah.
I
don't know if I could really name other names.
And Jesus.
Yeah.
And Jesus.
Yeah.
Hey, Gina, this is a good question for you from Lauren Verga. For or against women openly breastfeeding in public?
Okay, I don't know why this is such a hot topic. When, obviously, you have to feed your baby wherever
Correct.
You are. But I don't understand, as a mom who's been breastfeeding for over a year, I do not understand how breastfeeding in public somehow equates to exposing your breasts.
Right.
Like
You're feeding your child.
you literally just take, even if you don't have a nursing cover, even if you don't have a blanket, you just take something, put it over yourself and have the baby latch.
Yeah.
This is why I'm like, I just don't get how women, when they breastfeed in public, they just end up, their boob just ends up out. Like that, you're asking for someone to look at your breasts.
Right.
So obviously you feed your baby wherever they need to be fed. And if you're a mom of a newborn, baby's probably feeding a lot.
Yeah,
so you're going to have to feed them at some point. I just don't understand how it equals a woman exposing her breasts. Like how does that even happen?
Yeah, if you do it in a park and you just take the titty out, I think you're going to get some ogling men anyway.
You
That's gonna
shouldn't
be
do that.
No, you shouldn't do that. I think you should really, it is an intimate moment. You're feeding your child in a very natural way, the way that it's always been done. So you put a little something over there and you do it.
I don't get it.
What if I can? What if I didn't pack? Well, that's your fault.
Have you seen that blooper of The Office where Jan breastfeeds?
Yeah. Okay, this question, Laura asked another question. What made you decide to be Christian? Was there an event that caused it? And then there's another question from Aiden's Gymstagram. What are some moments of spiritual realization that you had? That we'll get into more of that, I think, at the panel.
Yeah, sure.
I had one recently while praying the rosary. I don't want to talk about it until the panel, I think, because I think it's very interesting. How to quit coffee and why?
How to quit coffee?
Stop drinking it.
So, you could do it the hardcore way, which is what I did. I just stopped drinking it and I had headaches in my kneecaps for like 10 days. But what you can do to wean off of it is if you have 1 cup of coffee, you make it 3/4 cup of regular coffee, 1/4 cup decaf.
Oh, really? You mix them?
You do that for a week, and then the next week you do half and half. And then the next week you do a quarter, 3/4.
Wow. Okay.
You can do it that way.
Good advice.
And why? They ask why? Because caffeine is a neurotoxin that you do not need.
Red pill conservatism. Really frequent question asker. Should men start wearing suits more often than just for very formal occasions? It really depends. It really depends. When I worked for Double RL, we sold very elegant British tailored suits that were designed and modeled after suits from the 20s, 30s, and early 40s, maybe not early 40s, but definitely 20s and 30s. So I wore suits every now and then because obviously I'm selling something, and suits make you feel so much more confident. You know, you watch a show like Peaky Blinders and you're like, that's a boss, that guy, especially a well-tailored suit. Functionality today, I don't know. I think it comes off as a little bit try hard when I see guys getting dressed up in suits for like inappropriate jobs or just trying to, I don't know, be nostalgic or something like that. But I think for very formal occasions, I think if you go out to a nice dinner, you can wear a suit. If you go out to a performance of music that is suitable for one, like the ballet or the opera or any orchestral performance, I think a suit is nice. I think a wedding, an engagement party, a baptism, a like anything like that, especially anything in church, definitely wear a suit.
Yeah, that's normal.
But I think men necessarily shouldn't wear suits just to wear suits. I think it makes it means more when there is a reason behind it.
Yeah,
when you're doing it in earnest. Gina says, advice on my DM from a few weeks ago about being a different denomination than my boyfriend. Oh, thank you. I can't find it right now because it'll just take too much time. But do you have advice for anyone who's dating someone who is not his or her denomination? What do you do? Any advice for that? What do you do? Struggle to convert each other the whole time?
Just fight to convert each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one. I wouldn't know what to say to that. I mean, I think that you're going to have to really, really decide whether it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to really decide. I mean, it also kind of depends on like the differences of denomination, because people technically consider Baptist to be a different denomination than Presbyterian.
I've heard this.
You know what I mean? So like, it is important to some Baptists to like marry a Baptist. So if it's something like that, I really don't think that the difference between a Baptist and Presbyterian is going to be huge.
But it's if you're already going to two different churches, what do you do? Especially when you have kids, do you bring them to two different churches? I don't.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't do that.
No.
So you should really ask a serious question about whether that's what you want your family to look like.
The colonizer.jpg. Will there be a Q&A at the God is Great panel? Yes. So the second half, it's going to be broken down into halves, where the first half will be panel discussion with questions that Gina and I have prepared, topics, so to say. and we will take a quick intermission, and then we'll come back for a Q&A, because I assume that it's going to be a heavily Q&A.
Yeah. You said we sold half the VIP tickets already?
No, more than half. I think we have 7 VIP tickets left.
That's great.
Guys, we have, like I said, we have 7 VIP tickets left. So the bulk of them are the general admission ones, but those are going to go a lot quicker as we get closer to the event. So if you want those VIP tickets, they consist of not free, but front row seating is included. You get a tote bag, and you get some merch goodies, and you get a meet and greet. So at least you get to meet Gina and I and photos and some of the panel members if you'd like. There are 7 of those left. They're $50 each. Go to the link in the description for the link to the Eventbrite page. And like I said, make it either a weekend thing. If you guys are outside of Nashville, come to Nashville for the weekend. And if not, make it a date night thing. Make it a date day thing. Have lunch, come to the panel, go to dinner.
Go to dinner after.
I think it's great.
Just don't go to Slim and Huskies.
Don't go to Slim and Huskies. Yeah, I'm getting my daughter baptized before it. So I think, well, not the day of, but the day before. Smart TI35 asks an easy question. Is Morrissey based? We talked about this on the Jay Dyer, the last Jay Dyer that you were absent from. In diet, no, because he's a vegan. But in policy, yeah. Morrissey's kind of based.
He's still vegan?
Yeah, and asexual.
Meat is murder.
Coolest ginger ever wants to know, are you raising your kids to believe in the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus? I was just talking to Carly about this yesterday. We're going to raise our daughter and any future children saying, you're going to hear a lot about kids talking about Santa Claus, but we're going to teach you who the real Santa Claus is, St. Nicholas, and we are going to give you the whole history of it. So you're going to celebrate the birth of Jesus, and you're also going to celebrate St. Nicholas. And I think that's how we're going to approach it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't thought about whether we're going to do Santa Claus or not.
I'm just worried about raising an actually. She's in school. Are we going to celebrate Christmas?
Yeah.
No, we don't do. Well, actually, St. Nicholas was really a saint who was slapping some other bishops down in, the 400s.
Well, it depends on where she goes to school too, right?
Yeah, which will be in the house.
So I don't think she's going to run into that issue.
Whoever this person is, last name Constance, Jahara Constance. Can Gina find me a husband?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I know many eligible bachelorettes. I just need an application from you first.
Okay. Yeah. Emily Rose, are children actually, quote, picky eaters, or is that the most likely the results of parents letting their kids be picky? No. Toddlers, especially, they're picky. They just don't know any better. You guys, to understand the brain of a toddler is to understand, jazz. It's very difficult. It's not, there's no structure to it. They're still figuring things out.
That's such a myth about jazz.
There's no structure. Well,
there is a structure.
There's improvisational jazz.
That is based on a structure.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about Dave Brubeck.
Okay.
I'm talking about,
but it's
a pianist, a trumpeter who are playing.
It's based on a chord structure.
Yeah, but they're also dissonant chords and dissonant progressions that they're playing.
It's based on a structure.
Anyway, in my opinion, a toddler is like trying to figure out jazz. It's very tough to figure out, and they are picky eaters because they're also trying a lot of things for the first time, so they want to eat what they're used to.
Yeah, I think that parents should do as much as they can to foster an environment where children will eat anything, but people tend to forget that children have a mind of their own. So it doesn't matter how much you promote eating anything on the table. There will very likely be something at some point that the kid doesn't want to eat just because they have their own personality that is different from yours. Yeah. So
it's very tough. We're trying very hard to get her to eat more like ground beef. We took a little bit of the meatloaf, we gave a little bit of the shepherd's pie. She didn't want to eat any of it. Though she does eat meat. She has her pepperoni that she loves. She loves her jerky. She loves her biltong. But when it comes to us, giving her some warm meat that we've just made, she wants no part of it.
Oh, wow. My daughter loves the meatloaf.
It's very interesting.
She loves red curry ground beef.
Really?
Loves
Probably
it.
delicious. Ben Chorchok. I don't know if either of us can answer this question. Why are so many evangelicals anti-Catholic? Do you know why?
So many evangelicals. Well, I mean, I think you could also ask the same thing about why so many Catholics are anti-Protestant.
Yeah.
It's like because the answer, the easiest way to answer that is because they believe that their theology is correct, and both of the theologies are inherently opposed to one another.
Right.
So it's the same thing. It's like you'll see a lot of Protestants that are very anti-Catholic and a lot of Catholics that are super anti-Protestant.
I don't know, but when they're saying evangelicals, are they being specific to a certain denomination of evangelicals, like Pentecostals or something like that? Because evangelical is not a denomination, right?
There's most Protestant denominations are considered evangelical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, Ben Vogan. How do I get my conservative roommate to break up with his liberal girlfriend? I mean, that sounds like a priority for you and not necessarily for him. So I just mind your business. And I mean that with a caring heart.
Yeah. Don't
interfere.
Don't try to break up your friend's relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, if there is a time and place where you feel like you can speak freely, then do
speak
so.
freely.
But I mean, the problem with guys who are like super honest with their guy friends about the girlfriends that they don't like, what if they get married?
Yeah, we don't listen.
What if they get married? Because that's happened to a couple of my dad's really good guy friends. He was honest with them and he was like, yo, she's a hoe. And then they got married.
Yeah, I've had a couple of guy friends tell me that about past relationships. Yeah, we don't listen. You're very hard-headed.
Yeah.
Love is blinding. Love is not blind. It is blinding too.
I did watch Love is Blind.
Yeah, we watched it too. Someone wanted us to talk about that show. It's horrible TV, but it's somewhat entertaining.
I have a lot of thoughts about Love is Blind that are on a much deeper level that relate to what's going on culturally.
Maybe we'll talk about it maybe on the next show.
We can do a segment on Love is Blind because I think it's one of the most popular dating shows now, and I think it's a really accurate reflection of the culture.
Yeah, I agree. It's cringy. I watch that show. Carly loves it.
It's a car wreck you just can't look away from.
It really is. Justin Gachaba, loyal men's group member.
Okay.
How do you like your eggs?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, when I'm out, I get my eggs over easy. At home,
you scramble them.
I scramble them, but that's more out of convenience than anything.
Yeah.
I honestly love a hard-boiled egg.
Okay.
But not hard-boiled, like more soft-boiled.
Yeah, it's a pain. It's a task.
You really have to pay attention when you're making it, or else it'll be overcooked.
Yeah, I do the same thing when I'm out at a greasy spoon or something. I like to get my eggs over medium, and when I'm home, I scramble them.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get it done. I want to eat my eggs quick.
Yeah.
Erica O'Burley, what do you guys think about hydration packets to add water? Helpful or not?
It depends on the hydration packets. You have a brand like Lemont, LMNT, which are really good.
Like Liquid IV, it's kind of like, it's a little sketch, a lot of sugar in there probably.
Yeah, stuff like that you don't need to do. You can just add Himalayan salt to your water, Himalayan salt or sea salt or whatever.
Ohas, he's asked a couple of interesting questions. Let's ask one where we can both answer it because I think one might be geared toward maybe me. Okay. Do you guys allocate time to read daily? This is something I want to do and I'd love tips.
Yeah.
I would love to and I try. I just don't want to. There are a bunch of things that I do when my baby goes down for a nap. I pray the rosary. That's the one thing I do. And if there's time, I'm usually working on any element of the show or maybe trying to read, but I just feel selfish when I'm reading. It's like, maybe I need to do something.
It's hard as a parent to read. It really does feel like something selfish, but I do kind of force myself. Not that I love to read. It's just, it's the blockage of like, I should be doing something else that's more productive. So I read every time I take a bath at night, I'll read. And every time I'm pumping at night, I'll read. So it's usually ends up being like Monday through Friday. But over the weekend while I'm pumping, we watch TV. Here's
a great question from Third Coast Texas Toast. Do you believe in aliens?
I don't know.
I'm going to go no.
I don't know.
Space is gay.
Yeah, I wonder. Like I always like, did God also create another more planets out there that have life?
If you think about it in a non-religious sort of secular kind of way, you contemplate the vastness of the universe.
Yeah.
The universe is this, it's an unfathomably, vast structure with, I don't know, trillions of stars and trillions of planets because, our solar system alone, what is it? Solar systems and galaxies and then galaxy clusters and then, then outside of our universe, there's trillions of stars and planets and moons and all this stuff. So if you're a secularist, you would have to think, the odds that there isn't life out there, it doesn't seem reasonable. So there has to be. But then when you start thinking about it from, a designer point of view, which you have an intelligent designer in God or a creator, I think you start to maybe at least think a little bit selfishly, like, oh, he could have only created us in his image. Is there another
Yeah, I always wonder.
version of us somewhere out there? I don't know. That's why I kind of tend to know. Because saying no, I don't necessarily have to explain myself.
It's honestly also one of those questions where it's like, I don't have the time or the energy or the willingness to really devote a lot of time to it and think about it and take a deep dive into it theologically too. Like I'm not really that interested, because if there are aliens, it doesn't affect my life right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm sorry, I'm eating. While I'm eating, do you want to talk about Chubby Ballerina?
Oh my goodness. Fat Disney heroine. You can find it too. Maybe throw it up.
Yeah, I'll throw it up.
Disney has released a new series of short films, and one of them is called Reflect. And Reflect is about a morbidly obese ballet dancer who finds...
Is this morbidly obese? I'm just going to interject.
That's obese for a child. Okay. That's definitely obese for a child, because that's well over 30 pounds overweight. What's that?
I don't know.
Is that part of the...
It's an actual ballerina, I guess.
So there's a lot of things to be said about this. I mean, obviously this is just another...
Okay.
This is just another way to promote the fat acceptance and body positivity movement, which, like kind of a tangent, but I'm almost convinced that the body positive movement, the fat acceptance movement, was created by a bunch of hot girls who just want to eliminate the competition out there and secure themselves a high quality mate. Because when you were like, it's like that Bill Burr bit. Have you seen that bit that Bill Burr does?
What did he say?
Where he says, he's like, if all you women out there put just as much energy into seeing the WNBA as you do into cheering on fat girls, like they'd be rich and, they get paid more.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh my God, you're such a goddess. You're such a goddess. You're so beautiful. And he's like, keep doing what you're doing. I would fucking kill myself if I looked like that, And then it's like that scene in Mean Girls where Regina George stops some random girl in the hallway and says, oh my God, I love your skirt. Where did you get it? It was my mom in the 80s.
That's the ugliest effing
Vintage,
skirt I've ever seen.
so adorable. That was the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen. Like women, that's like the way of women. That's like what we do.
Yes.
Women biologically, women are inclined to compete with each other more than men are. And that's for a lot of different reasons. Reproductively, we only release 300 to 400 viable eggs in our reproductive lifetime.
Yeah.
Men, you have hundreds of millions of sperm cells. You essentially have like an unlimited amount of sperm, an unlimited amount of seed to just spread around the world. Yeah. So although men have obviously much more testosterone, you're much more competitive when it comes to physical situations. Women with each other, that term catty, like catty women, like it doesn't come from nowhere. We are biologically more in competition with each other than men are, because we have to find a high quality mate who is going to be able to protect us and provide for us when we're pregnant for 9 months and we're not at all, obviously not fertile in that time. We're not in any position to find another partner. So we have to find a man who is going to be able to provide for us. So that makes us so much more competitive with other women compared to men being competitive with each other. So for example, like a great example is if a guy tells another guy, dude, you're getting fat, you got to lose some weight. The guy's probably like, yeah, bro, man, I know. You're right, dude. I just haven't been eating well. I've been drinking a lot. You're right, man. Let's hit the gym. If a girlfriend tells her friend, honey, you're getting a little bit chubby, I mean, she'll be like, you're such a bitch. Like, I can't believe you would say that to me. I've been through so much lately. But what women actually do instead of that is they will like cheer on women doing destructive things to themselves.
Like Meghan McCain.
Do
you want to hear what she said?
What does she say?
Meghan McCain, I'm being harassed for being fat while pregnant, and girls' bodies are judged more than ever. So no, it's not woke to love Disney Plus's size ballerina. She says, there's no reason to freak out over Ashley Graham walking in elite fashion shows. I'm not a wild progressive for cheering on lingerie ads that showcase the full spectrum of women's body shapes. The body positivity movement is a positive thing, and saying so doesn't make me part of the woke mafia.
It does. It's by definition a woke movement to promote.
She said, Meghan McCain said, loving Lizzo isn't woke. Look at Lizzo. That is woke. Being like, yeah, that's beautiful, that's woke. Because anything woke is a lie. It's a lie.
This is what women do to each other. Women will, even if it's subconscious, they will subconsciously tear each other down and make sure that they get a leg up and have an even better shot at landing a high quality mate.
Are you up to date on Love is Blind?
Yeah.
Do you remember when the Hispanic woman went to go meet her brothers and her father?
Yeah.
And the one brother seemed cool, but the other brother was like, "Yo, if my sister got fat, would you leave her, bro?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, no. I mean, like, I would definitely try and get her in the gym, blah blah blah." And if I was there, I'd be like, "Yeah, yes. If she got fat, I would tell her something, and if she didn't decide to do anything about it, yeah, I'd probably leave her."
It's also a dumb question because people act like you just get fat overnight. They act like you go to sleep and you wake up one day and you're fat.
Yeah.
Like because the question was if she gained 300 pounds, would you
right,
still
right,
love her?
right.
Do you know how long it takes to gain 300 pounds?
Also, 300 pounds is kind of insane. That's like some crazy. If the question was if she put on 80 pounds, and I'll be like, dude, 80 pounds is a lot.
Even
of weight
if it's
to put on.
80 pounds, you know how long it's going to take to put on 80 pounds? Like that's a months long process. So you're just going to let your wife get fat? You're just going to, what about the first 20 pounds? After the first 20 pounds, at some point, you're going to have a conversation.
Listen, guys, especially married men, you have a perfect opportunity to be incredibly brutally honest to your spouse. It's almost your obligation to. And I know guys feel a little bit reserved about that, especially the sort of weaker men who have to escape to the golf course in order to get away from their wives. I understand that those guys exist, and I understand those are the type of guys who wouldn't ever say anything to their wives about their appearance. But I think that you should. I think that is part of a marriage where you guys have to be brutally honest with each other and at least, be willing to talk to each other about your healths.
Or set an example and just do some more healthy habits together, like encourage cooking at home more, encourage exercising more, going
Sweetheart,
for a walk more.
You're getting fat, let's not put
You're
so
getting
much.
fat, honey. Can you make me a meatloaf?
Yeah, let's not
Instead of
fry too
ordering
many
in.
things.
Okay, but going back to the Disney thing.
Sorry.
Women inherently are more competitive with each other, and women are also much more catty. They're much more conniving. They're always finding some cunning way to undercut one another. And I'm almost convinced that the entire fat acceptance movement is just a bunch of hot girls. They just secretly invented this idea that you can encourage women to accept their body, accept their obese figure, and accept themselves in the name of empowerment and liberation. What they're actually doing is encouraging women to self-destruct in the name of empowerment and liberation so that they can have a better shot at landing a hot guy. I don't know. That's a theory. And as the days go on, I'm almost more and more convinced this is true. And so the whole thing with the Disney short film called Reflect is it's not enough to convince grown women that obesity is beautiful. Like that's not enough. So now what they're doing is they're convincing young girls that obesity is something to be proud of. And
just getting comfortable in it.
In the trailer, the fat ballerina goes into the class and she's really excited to start doing the warm-ups and all the dancing and stuff. And then she feels embarrassed because like everyone else is really thin. We've talked about shame before, like we talked about with Mark, like shame is a very useful tool. Like it's not the girl's fault that she's fat. It's obviously the parents' fault.
Right.
But like she feels shame because that's a very normal reaction to the fact that you are obese and all of your peers are not.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a normal reaction. And that is an indicator that something is wrong. And so instead of saying that shame is a bad thing, I think what we should do is repurpose the entire conversation around shame and discuss when you feel shame about something, maybe you should ask yourself, should I feel shame about this? And if you are morbidly obese, I'm sorry, but you should feel shame about that.
Yeah, if you're a 5-year-old little girl, I don't think you should feel ashamed by that by any means. I think it's definitely your parents.
It's the parents'
fault. And I mean, this is something that makes it a bit of an easier conversation because this is not a real person. It's a computer animated girl. So, there's no real human behind this.
And then you have all the TikTokers that are like, I wish this movie was out when I was a kid. This is so empowering to women. And this is how dumb women are. They've been convinced that encouraging women to self-destruct is somehow an empowering thing. Like, oh, I would have felt so seen and heard if they had shown me this movie when I was a young fat dancer. Like how
there'd be no need to because there wasn't any young fat dancers back then.
No, there wasn't.
Whenever I see a little obese child, like a little child under 10 years old, I feel incredibly bad for them because I know it's the parents' fault.
It's pure child abuse.
Purely
to allow your child to get to that.
What is with this fat acceptance stuff? Why did any of this acceptance stuff get started? Like
I mean, I know I joke about how body positivity was invented by hot girls, but what it actually is it's just the government wants you fat and wants you unhealthy and wants you complicit. WALL-E. Yeah, they always say, watch WALL-E.
Yep.
And I don't think I ever did.
Oh, do you know why?
there's like something in there about
So the
fat.
right. So
acceptance.
the world basically ends. The world becomes inhabitable in Wall-E. And so what happened is I think a bunch of humanity is basically living on this giant floating Costco. It's very interesting. But humans have now, I'll use evolved to be all obese because everything is catered to their every whim. So they float around in these little like flying space cars in their like loungers, and they're all just laying back there. They're all fat. They never get up. They don't walk around even though they can. So that's the future in the Wall-E movies, that everybody's fat and lazy.
I also want to say pretty much all of the women who support fat acceptance and body positivity are also all like pro BLM. They're allies to the minority community.
They attack Nancy Pelosi's husband.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing that, I mean, I'm almost
They're gearing up. The midterms are next week. So is someone going to get killed soon? I mean, what's going to happen? Who knows?
But all these women who support BLM and donate to all the minority causes or whatever, why are you promoting body positivity? The people who are disproportionately affected by obesity are minorities and people in inner cities. Like, these people are dying of heart attacks, type 2 diabetes, stroke, all those related obesity caused illnesses and diseases. Minorities die from them at a much higher rate than white people do. And all of you white libs, you donate to BLM and you talk about how you're an ally for the minority community, and then you turn around and you support the fat acceptance movement. Like, you want minorities to continue being sick, and you want there to be a disproportionate amount of minorities who are suffering from the greatest metabolic disorder in our society. I just don't understand how you guys can put those two together. Act like you care about minorities and like, yes, queen, eat yourself to death. Yes. Oh, you're so brave. You're doing so great. I'm so happy for you. I would never look like that, but you're doing great. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it doesn't make sense because women are catty bitches that are always in competition with each other.
Really? Okay. I like that.
But it's true, right?
I was thinking on the drive over here, I was like, you know what? I'm a bigot. I embrace it. Yeah.
I hope so.
You know, the original, they've changed it since
the OG bigot?
The OG bigot, it was just someone who was...
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jesus.
No. The definition of a bigot is someone who does not agree with an opinion that is different than yours. It's just something like bigoted. I'm bigoted towards your opinion. Now they changed it to something like a person who is utterly intolerant of another person's creed or race or something like that, or belief or opinion. It's not really racial. It's about beliefs. And it says, you're a Satanist? You're a Satanist? Yes, I am bigoted against you. Yes, 100% I am a bigot towards Satanists.
You're a pedophile? I am bigoted.
I am bigoted against that creed. Did you see what Alex Stein did? Did you see what he did? In Florida, there's some law, some statute that allows you to put signs on pedophiles' houses, people who were convicted of sex crimes against minors. He went to these people's homes and said, hey, we're going to put this sign. We're going to take it away midnight on Tuesday after Halloween, basically. But, you know, you were arrested in 1998 for sexually assaulting a minor under 12 years old. So we're going to put this sign on your lawn so that people will avoid it, and to make sure that you don't put candy out or you have no interactions with any kids over Halloween. So, yeah, this is like statute 7 point whatever, part of the, you know, Florida code. And he did it to a couple different people. I was like, wow, that's pretty based. Look at Alex Stein, Primetime 99, protecting the kids.
He's coming in November,
okay.
He said.
So we get Alex Stein on the show.
And Anomaly will likely come in early December.
Physically?
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Because he's driving cross country to see family on the East Coast.
Okay.
So he said he'll make a pit stop here.
Awesome. Oh, well, next week, we have the guy who runs Catholicism, and then we have the founder of Hopewell.
I like his memes.
Yeah, good memes.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what she has to say about a lot of things, because apparently she wanted to come on and discuss a lot of the birth control billboards that are popping up in Nashville. And I had a bunch of people ask me, I did a little live before, they said, what are your thoughts on the immunization schedule? And I said, well, at Hopewell, they will give you information about them, but they don't do any sort of immunizations. They don't even have them in the office, right? No, they don't. No. So they can recommend places, but they don't do them. And I'm like, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. We tried to get an appointment there, but then they were too booked up. And then we found a place that basically does the same thing. They actually carry them, but they don't ever pressure their patients into taking them.
Carly had a little cold over the last week, and I said, okay, well, do you need me to get you anything? Maybe a little bit of spray or lozenge? She said, no, if it's not holistic, I'm not taking it.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay. So you got this holistic like throat spray, like from bees?
Propolis.
Maybe? Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, Adriano takes
This is the time, guys. The weather's changing. You're going to get sick. You're going to get the flu. You're going to have a cold. Boost your immune system. This sounds like an ad read, but it's not. Daily vitamin D, daily vitamin C. I take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day. So
C is good, but I've read way too much about how vitamin D supplements don't work.
Oh, they don't?
They don't. Yeah.
Well, I take them by themselves, and then they're also probably in my multi. So get a good multi, vitamin C.
Get a good multi.
Listen, what's great. If you have minced garlic, you can buy minced garlic in a jar, but you can also, buy your own garlic and mince it yourself. A tablespoon of minced garlic chased by a little glass of orange juice is fantastic for your immune system. I mean, you can take garlic supplements as well, but inflammation reduction, all that sort of stuff. But now is the season that a lot of people are going to have colds and feel achy and stuff like that. So take care of yourselves, guys. We really do.
Lots of sunshine.
We really do care about your health. This isn't us trying to be edgy or anything like that. We really do care about your health. And that's why we take the time to have the guests on that we do and to answer your questions about your health.
Why we are anti-fat acceptance.
We don't want any fat citizens. We are benevolent leaders. We are benevolent authoritarian co-presidents, and we want your health. Your
say
health
benevolent.
Benevolent. Wait, what do I say?
Benevolent.
Benevolent is what I say.
Yeah.
Benevolent is what it is.
It's the V and the L.
Oh, the V. People know what I'm saying, though, right?
Probably. 11 benevolent elephants.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed that I messed up the theme song thing. I'll play it on the next one. I'll have it right and queued up. People are like, what are you talking about? I cut it out. You want to?
You don't know. We got to go.
Remind myself to cut it on the audio too.
Bye.
We didn't do the songs. We have technically 5 minutes.
We'll talk about
it on our next solo one.
Love is Blind and that. On
Love is Blind, and Gina has this theory that guys have been guys have been turned into pussies regarding love songs and pop music currently, that they weren't in a way before. And I agree and disagree a little bit of that, and I think capitalism has a little bit to do with why. Sell more movies in the 80s, remember? Yeah. Capitalism, I'll be straight up and say, I think like Michael Knowles red-pilled me on capitalism.
The free market.
Yeah, what he calls the free market. I think capitalism is probably an awful system. Yeah, it just encourages people to be slaves in order to make money for their bosses. I sound like, that really makes me sound like a lib, right?
And to be greedy.
Yeah. That's what it is. It fosters greed.
Fosters greediness.
Greed is a deadly sin. Remember that. Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody.
Money is not the root of all evil, but the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yes.
I gotta go.
Go to church if you're Catholic, please.
Go to imdoingmerch.com.
I gotta go to church too then.
Yeah.